All right, so my name is Sam Lansing. I work with Nagios on the tech team. One of their newer members, about 5.5 months now. So just kind of got thrown into the batch for doing a presentation right off the bat. This is going to be on automating Windows application testing and problem resolution with Nagios. So just going to do a little introduction here. Basically what I do at Nagios is some of the example projects I've worked on. I am a member of the tech support team, as I said. I primarily do support-based stuff, ticketing and forums. I also do a little bit of development here and there as it's needed. Since we have a fairly small team, it's kind of cool because you get to actually go out and do different gamuts of everything we do at Nagios. I also work on documentation, so I basically touch up on stuff as it's updated. You know, some stuff goes out of date over time, and I've also done documentation on what I'm going to be talking about today. And if any of you guys want to try that stuff out, it is linked on here as well. This presentation is going to be able to be found online at the Nagios site after the conference. So some of the projects I've worked on, this is going to be covering a couple pieces of software that are free for use, and as well as event handlers that you can use with Nagios. So what I'm going to be showing today is a timer plugin that I created for Auto IT. And then its counterpart, which times programs. So say you want to start a program and see how long it takes to load, just as a basic example. You can do that through this. Also a host service restart event handler. So say a service goes down. If Nagios is monitoring that service, it will trigger the event handler and that'll restart the service for you. Also, Selenium is another automation program. It's primarily used for web-based testing. You can test just about anything you want on a website. However, it's a plugin on Firefox and Chrome, so you have to do everything within Firefox or Chrome. You can't do anything outside of it. All right, so automation, the asset. One of the things it does is it eliminates the hassle of terminal usage when an issue occurs. So you don't have to go running down to the server room and hop on the terminal and try to figure out what's going on. A lot of things that have to do with that, just short, easy things you can fix, can be done through automation and event handlers with Nagios. It offers precise and efficient testing. It's created by you, so of course you can have human error in it, but hopefully you figured out all the code and stuff like that, so you won't run into that issue. Whereas, like I said earlier, if you had to go down and figure out problems or create tests and do it all on your own and record it, sometimes you might have to do it multiple times to get it just right. It also eliminates or lessens the 3 a.m. calls that you may receive or texts from alerts of things going on in Nagios. So some of the possibilities and limitations of automation. It offers autonomous problem solutions, as I was talking about earlier. It's usable for simple things such as service restarting to intricate and expansive uses such as master distribution. I know I've spoken to a couple people on the forums that have used various types of automation to mass distribute software over their networks or their clients' networks. It's very good for that. It eliminates you having to remote into computers and install everything by hand. You can just run a script and it can just sit there and wait for it to finish. The main limitation as far as AutoIT goes, which is what I'm going to be showing here, is interface interference. So AutoIT, what it does is it captures just about anything you can do on your desktop. So it's primarily for Windows. There have been some basic ports to Linux, but it is kind of difficult to get it working. It doesn't work with a lot of the distributions, so it's usually used on Windows. The interference comes where what it does is it basically virtualizes a user using the computer. So we'll move the mouse cursor and use a virtual keyboard to input all the commands and everything that you would normally do. So it's difficult to kind of work with it work with the computer that something, a script is running on at the time being. It is advisable to cron the scripts so they don't overlap. You can see that'd be an issue because what it does is it virtualizes you doing something on the system. So trying to run two at once will kind of gobble things up for you. All right, so Autowit and Selenium. Currently, Nagios has implemented Autowit and Selenium. There are other options available, which I will speak about towards the end of the presentation. But these are the ones that we've documented so far, and we've created little scripts that you can just get off your feet with, and you can get your feet wet in automation with them. With these two, there is a very large user base and support team. They have their own forums. Of course, we can offer support for anything that we've created on our forums, but that's always there to lean on as well. Some of the price solutions, what's nice, and this goes for open source stuff as well, is you've got that user base that maintains it. So it'll kind of eliminate, I guess, waiting for people that are actually paid to do their job, because they could get flooded, and then they may not provide the perfect support that you want, because there are people that have dabbled in just about everything with it that you can find on their forums. And it's easily molded to your needs. They're both very expansive, which I'll get into as well. With the paid solutions, they offer, of course, pretty user interfaces and stuff like that, but they're kind of hard to work inside if you want to mold your own thing. That's a big thing for system administrators, because usually, you end up making your own scripts at some point, and you want to build your own stuff. So triggered scripts, this would be in the event handler gamut of things. They're event handler driven through Nagios. That's, as far as what I've worked on personally, I've done it with event handlers because it's quite easy to write an event handler for a service or a host. They are simple yet effective. I show an example of an event handler that I created a little later on here. And it is a pretty basic script, but it's still quite effective. There's not a lot you have to put into event handlers, depending on what you do, of course. But for things such as service restarting, which is the example I'll give here, it's quite easy to create that. And they're easily editable. With some, like I was saying before, some of the paid solutions that I dabbled in, a lot of the scripts are executable file. Of course, they're executables, but they're not easy to edit. They're mostly all compiled, so you have to kind of redo everything. You kind of get locked into that when you try doing the same thing with one of those, and that'll end up probably giving you more work as well, because then you're going to have to recompile. All right, so event handlers. What they are is what they do is they're triggered by a host or service which has a state change. So, for instance, restarting a service, you're monitoring, say, the print spooler service as an easy one that you can test on Windows. Nagios notices that it's down, triggers the event handler, that sends the input over to Windows, and that'll pretty much open a command prompt screen and do a net stop and net start of the print spooler service, for instance. You can use it for entering help desk tickets as well. There are some programs that are pretty easy to integrate this with. It's very helpful. There are a lot of, say, I guess I can't give a real good example of a program that you may use for help desk stuff, but there are many ways to integrate Nagios with help desk, to automatically create tickets for you and for your team. And let's see here. What they are is they're an intermediary between Nagios and the remote host. So, like I was saying, it can be used to run. Basically, it asks, if the state is this, then I will do this. It's very easy, kind of on.